I will call this meeting to order. It is 4:38 on May 28, 2025. And this is the IRC-NAACP SDIRC Workgroup meeting. First item on the agenda, other than calling the meeting to order, is to introduce the newly selected school board member representative, and that is Miss Terry Barenborg, who is the chair of the school board and the school board member from District 4, and she is with the rest of the SDIRC team there. So good afternoon and welcome to the group, to the work group, Ms. Barenborg.
Thank you.
All right, the purpose of the work group is to identify barriers to achievement for each section of the joint plan, define and assess performance indicators and expected outcomes for each section of the 2018 joint plan, agree on the data elements and format required to monitor progress and compliance, and report status on a biannual basis. Today, we have dedicated nearly the entire agenda to reviewing Section 8, Transportation, which we have been doing the past few meetings. There's additional exhibits that have been provided. And with that, I believe I will hand it over to Dr. Shafty.
From the last meeting, we shared through council additional requested exhibits. So for 8.1, we provided transport duration data, as well as we received our recent survey 3 window official count. Update that. We also provided for 8.2, we embedded the table and continued it with the exhibit and provided that overall crosswalk document. For 8.3, we provided the IEP related service report by a student. For 8.8, we provided the link to the rule, state rule for the responsibilities of school districts for student transportation. And then for 8.14, we provided transportation discipline data through an Excel document and monitoring reports. So I believe the next portion on the agenda would be questions and continued discussion.
Do you have that discipline data you can put on the screen?
Give us one. Did you say put the, Kevin, can you say it again?
I said, do you have the discipline data, the table you said, put it on the screen? I had a question about it.
Yeah. Hold on. We were just making sure it didn't have student names.
Myself and do it from here.
Okay, she's gonna mute herself and just do it from here.
What indicator are we talking about for the student? What do you do?
I'll stay your report, 14. Here. That's 14.
Can you see the screen?
Jeez.
Ooh.
So we provided the count. The Excel tab has overall data in the tab 1 for count of ODRs or office disciplinary referrals by race. The second tab would be the discipline codes that we have, as well as the count of students receiving those discipline codes. And then further down by race, by discipline code. The third tab is the count of the action. Would be the consequence or the follow-up, whether it's a parent contact or something like a behavior intervention. Also, overall counts at the top, and then by race towards the bottom, by action, and then screenshots of our internal monitoring reports, which takes us student by student, but for the sake of this space, the student names have been blurred.
I didn't see the analysis that was by year. Which year, this is just 24, 25?
He's asking, I think, 20, is this the year 24, 25?
Yes, if that's what you asked, is it 24, 25? Yes.
Yes, and you gave us all 3 years.
No, we provided
I was
this
looking
year.
for, did it show an increase or a decrease in the amount of Black students? Because I know that it fluctuates when it comes to the ones who go to the alternative school and the other sections. So what is our analysis showing us?
I think he's asking if there's an increase in those numbers from 2 to that 100 minutes.
We would have to pull it year over year. The information we provided, we did not know that follow-up was requested year over year.
Okay, because that's what we're going to be looking at, right? The year by year increases or decreases, and if there's any disparities. Can you? I'm sorry, my computer acts up. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Every third word here.
I can't even see myself. It's so blurry. I don't know what's wrong with my camera on Teams, on Zoom, it works fine, but here it doesn't. Okay.
So I think if we just start with the indicator and kind of work down from there, the district shall ensure that transportation professionals do not issue disciplinary referrals in a discriminatory manner. So we're not looking for increases or decreases. We're looking for is there disproportionately, I would assume.
Yes,
So-
yes, disproportionately and over the years, right? That's what we look for. Because when we finish evaluating, it's going to be, we evaluate the past 3 years, if I'm correct on that. Is that right? I mean, we looked at 8 for mentoring. We looked at 2018 to 2020 through the current year. So for every section, we're looking from 18 to the current year, correct?
Hey, Kevin, you're very garbled. Is there a way you can call us?
Oh, certainly.
Or the second he said that, he was fine.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it's how far away you're sitting.
Well, let me get, a little closer.
That's better.
Okay. I was saying for 20, for 2018, we were monitoring, for mentoring, we were monitoring 2018 to 25. Did you hear me correctly on that? 18 to 25, those years. So with this one, we only have the student discipline data for the 1 year.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And shouldn't you be going by
Okay.
percentage instead of numbers because you're looking at ridership percentage?
We did it in a separate indicator. We did it by ridership percentage.
Okay.
And do we have a baseline to look at?
You
Like
have,
when we're, say for instance, when we're doing with the mentoring in 2018, we had how many teachers? I think it was 10, but 50% were kept. And the next year that we looked at what was there, and then the following year we looked at that. So I guess what I'm asking is, with this discipline data, is there an analysis or a baseline as we look through the discipline data to see what happened? Because all I saw was this 1 year.
I mean, we have the
code.
So what it was-
Race, overall codes, counted codes by race.
Is there anything to keep within it and anything that's there? I mean, you can look at the percent of ridership, but I don't know that there's anything
Are these numbers or percentages?
numbers.
These are you counts numbers.
Okay, so Kevin, one thing I noticed that I had a question on before was
Uh-huh.
if we're looking at the KPI and we're looking at if it was accomplished or not, I think we need to look at percentage of ridership compared to percentage of discipline codes. Does that make sense, Kevin?
It's processing slow. I'm sorry. I'm gonna write it down.
I don't.
Percentage of ridership versus
No.
percentage.
What I
Okay,
mean-
so if
No.
the black students are 75% of the ridership, then they would probably make up 75% of the discipline. Is that what?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense, Jay?
No, yeah.
Okay, because you're not gonna have, 25, 25, 25, 25. That's not expressing the ridership.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes it a little clearer when you're putting it that way. And so this is overall or not by route.
No, we don't, no, we don't have it by route.
Okay. And my reasoning for asking that is, if we got to, say we're looking at school suspensions, and then we want to know, or previously when we talked about suspensions and arrests, we wanted to know what school had the highest arrests or highest suspensions or whatever. So if there was a problem on a certain route, then we would understand. Okay, so this is just overall and not by route. Okay.
But it's overall, I mean, I read the indicator, I understand what the indicator says, and I read what's in the actual joint plan, and there's nothing with data in the actual plan. I mean, we created it as a KPI, so we presented it, but I think as you look at the data, I don't think there's any disparities in terms of transportation, in terms of the discipline on buses. It's actually, the last 6 months have been very, 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 very quiet.
Okay, so I think going along with the percentage and what do we say? Percentage of ridership versus percentage of referrals. Okay, so we only have, how many years are we going to take a look at? Are we going to be consistent? Are we, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking loud enough. Are we going to be consistently with the 3 or from 18 to 25 and see what is happening?
Did you just provide what they asked for?
Yeah, I mean, we provided what was asked for. I mean, it makes sense to go back and look at 3 years.
Is it on dashboard?
But I mean, discipline it's just going to look better the more current we are.
Okay, and so there's a button to calculate that percentage and the ridership percentage and the referrals also, I guess.
Don't know what button that is.
I'm on the dashboard. I'm assuming.
I just did percentages of white, Hispanic, Black ridership, and I compared it to the same percentages of the disciplines. Yeah.
Okay, are you looking at, Mr. Barenborg, are you looking at what she has up? Oh, the screen is gone, sorry.
And you had that one sheet up. Can you show them that? She's going to bring it up, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
What is wrong with this? I mean, it's something like, he's far away, it works fine, but
So on your ridership, I don't have that in front of me, but your ridership numbers.
Ridership.
Yeah, your percentage of how many, that was in all the spreadsheet that you gave us.
don't, yeah.
I know.
Need like a separate computer and login for this. Because Kevin, that way, that's how I looked at it, because that way you're looking at apples and apples versus oranges. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. So that's from 1920, and if you go to this year, because that's the discipline data you have. Because it looks better every year. I will say that, Kevin, I saw the numbers are better every year.
24.
Right.
Okay.
So if you look at that number,
Okay, so this is survey 3, and so district, oh geez, it says total transported, choice transported percent. Okay, all right, then you got black. And,
is it only compared to weight? Is that what they do?
That's how
And the,
so 50,
Great.
okay,
Sorry, trying to zoom in for you.
oh, thank you so much. So 57% of the ridership of the district were black, and white were 31.7.
and choice. Choice ridership too.
Say that again, please. I'm sorry. You said choice includes the ridership?
Well,
Or
choice
that
is
total?
different than the total.
Oh, okay.
You see that? They put it 2 different columns. The one on the right for white, non-Hispanic, percent transported, should the second one say choice? Okay.
Okay, so just so I understand the chart, of the black students, 48% of those transported were choice students. No.
No, of the students transported for choice, 48% of them are Black or African American.
Okay,
Boom, bingo.
okay.
And just so, let me just make sure, of the students that are transported to Beachland Elementary, 61.97 are Black, not Hispanic. And of the students who participate in choice, who are riding the bus, they're riding the bus, 57% of them. Okay, got it.
Okay, so the students on the bus, 61%, live in that zone or already zoned there.
So,
To Beachland.
well,
to Beachland.
it's not a full answer, Kevin, but 57% of the students who are riding the bus to Beachland, are Black students who are choosing to go to that school.
Okay, was that Dr. Moore?
Yes, I'm blind, so I'm sitting close to the screen so I can see it.
Oh, okay. No, I can't see that. I was looking at the thing. You sound like your voice changed. I couldn't tell who was talking to me. All right.
I guess
So,
yeah, a lot of graduation speeches.
yeah. So could you say that again? So for Beachland, 61% of the black
So
students
of the,
are.
so if there's 100 kids riding a bus at Beachland, 61 of them are Black, and of the
62%.
62, okay, round up. And the students who are riding a bus, 57 are riding, who are Black students are riding for choice.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a school that's definitely accessing transportation to access choice.
Okay. All right. Tony, you got that? Everybody else understand that? 61% of the students riding the bus are Black, and 57% of the students who are riding for a choice are Black. Did I say that correct?
Yes.
And better than me.
Okay. All right. Okay, that makes sense.
So there's only a 4% differential?
Choice to total? Is that what you
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going
Yeah.
back to what Kevin said, though 4% are zoned, or if 57% are choice, then that leaves 4%. So they're zoned there, or they just, what are they, Doc?
They would be zoned, they would be zoned there,
And choose to ride the bus.
and choose to ride the bus.
Some might be dropped off by car or
Right, yeah.
Okay. All right. better understanding for those. Okay, so then what we have the ridership, and then, oh, I think Ms. Barrymore was answering the question on the percentage of leadership versus percentage of percent of ridership versus referrals. Okay, so.
Well, what I did is I looked at the ridership and then I looked at the referrals and I wanted to see if the KPI is being,
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
well, it would be nice for all of us to look at it.
Okay.
So now that you have those numbers, Kevin, then maybe we should look at the discipline data again.
Yes. Yes.
Are you going to graduation?
Congratulations.
Dodgertown.
Oh.
Treasure. And, okay.
So that this one's going.
It's more than like two.
I think, I don't know if Rashawn's voice is working, her microphone, but she put a question. Can we put that back up? I guess everybody saw that.
Which one, she
So
wants
what
the
we-
other?
Yeah, what we were talking about, Rashawn, is I was asking about the discipline data for the buses, and we only have the year for this year, so we don't have the previous years. And then Ms. Barrymore pointed out that it would be more equivalent to look at percentage of ridership versus percentage of referrals. So that's why we were looking at that screen.
Are you telling Rashawn? Just catching her up.
I'm sorry.
You're catching up, Rashawn? Is that what you're doing?
All right, she said, okay.
Okay,
So now,
So that choice will show that 57% of the students, of Black students, are on the bus, right?
let's do it. Oh, we don't have a total? The total ridership, because the first one, you can see, oh, those are ODRs?
yes.
Okay, so if you look at ODRs, and it was 50% Black ridership,
57.
57, it's gonna be under 50, because you have a 3,000 right here, and 2,000 right here, plus 3,000, so it's significantly under.
so under Ms. Barrymore's,
Compared to the white.
right, I mean, I'm not running total percents, but
Okay.
obviously, if there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 instances of referrals and only 2,100 are for Black students, that's significantly under the 50% of ridership.
You can just look at it and see that there are more white student referrals
Yeah, we gotta look into that.
than there are Black student or Hispanic student referrals, but yet there's less ridership for white students. You see that, Kevin?
Yeah, 3,400. What is CT count of students?
He's asking what CT.
Count.
Count.
Okay.
That's the number of, yeah.
Okay. CT count of students and the count of ODRs. So, okay, so,
Those are the kind of students, the ODRs are next to it.
so,
The count of students, right? The PRs.
and-
Right, but it's still 253s and
The numbers,
206
I just looked at them and knew the numbers were very close. There's 263 ODRs for Black students,
mhm.
and there's 206 for white students.
Do
you see that?
Okay, yeah, that's close to about 50% somewhere, I guess. And so, okay, so overall there are, this count of students being counted of students riding the bus, right? 3,400
So you're-
on the bus.
594 referrals on buses, whatever year this is.
This is this year, right?
Mhm.
Is this what you're talking about? What we're looking at, Dr.?
Yeah, there were 594 referrals, 263.
It's a percentage.
44%.
44% for black
Oh, I got
students.
subtracted, so it would be, was it 50%?
57.3 is how many percentages total writers.
So 53, and it's,
No, all they do is do the percentage for their discipline.
yes, 44% of the referrals were assigned to black students.
Okay, how many were white students?
Hold on.
It's 206 compared to whatever the total is.
6 divided by 5
We need to go with the
would
60.
be 34%.
Okay. So it's 10% difference.
Oh, you compare the 44% to the total ridership, which is 59%.
Right.
It was over
That's
59%.
my point. Then you gotta go back up to the ridership and say there's more than 10% difference in ridership. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yes, if you can say that, please. You got 57% black students ridership and
Basis higher.
594 and 260, 867 total ODRs, correct? Yeah. 594. Okay. Yeah.
So in other words, 57% of the students are getting 44% of discipline issues.
Yeah.
Whereas 18.46% of, I'm sorry, 32% of the white students are getting 34%.
And 21%, the combination of other.
Right.
For the, and that would be for the 24-25 school year, right? Okay. All right, so yeah.
Kevin, try turning your camera off to see if you sound better, because I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I said that would be for the 24-25 school year. 54% of the black students are getting, 57% of the black students are getting that number, then 34% of the white students are getting, 37% of white students are getting 34% of this thing. You still can't hear me?
You break up. That's why I said try with turning your computer off, because your camera,
No,
because
not
it
your
might
computer,
carry
your
your
camera.
bandwidth.
Just your camera.
Just the camera, okay. How's that?
Well, no better.
Okay, all right, well, keep going. I'll just.
Well, now
I
it's
think
better.
coming clear.
No.
It's going in and out?
Yeah, it goes in and out.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, so we just need some more, the other discipline levels of the, years, because we only have 24, 25, and it looks like the ridership is pretty close to the discipline.
Is it, how available is that? I mean. So we don't have, I mean, we have it somewhere, obviously. All right, so that'd take a minute to collect, so I would. When I say a minute, we're gonna have to. We built a program this year, so we're gonna have to go back and collect it a different way, not as easy, because we built, this is kind of on our public facing, well, it may not be public facing, but it's on our dashboard to track it.
Mhm.
So if we had to pull the other years, it's gonna be additional work of staff, but
And maybe
it clearly demonstrates, even though discipline is not part of the joint agreement, it was a KPI, we are demonstrating it, that it's way beyond acceptable in terms of what's identified in the KPI, which is a disparity of discipline on transportation. So if that,
yes, I'm glad to, have a chance to look at that, because that would would be a potential factor. And so if we can clear that.
I mean, we're in compliance this year, obviously, in compliance with this particular KPI. I'm not trying to overstep for this particular year. So can we agree that if we're in compliance this year, then we're in a good space? I mean, I'm just trying to avoid extra work to have my staff pull something. And I don't think the data is going to be any different in the previous 2 years. It's the same, mostly the same drivers, mostly the same students. And me sitting in, we just don't have a large, I mean, how many bus referrals do you get? Yeah, I mean, we just don't have a discipline problem on buses. We just don't. So it's doing a lot of work to give a validation of what's in front of us.
So, honestly, Dr. Moore, would you make a decision based off seeing 1 year on anything that could impact future years, or is supposed to review previous years?
So I would make, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because like you're saying that you have the data, you have the data, right? So you do track the data, so you do have it, but you're saying like, let's just make it based off of what's right in front of us for this year. What year is this?
Yes. I'm saying that it wouldn't be any different. I'm saying that in the joint plan, this whole conversation is not even referenced, but it's a KPI, so we provide it, and in good faith, and it clearly demonstrates that what we're currently doing is in compliance with the current employees that I have. Anything that it was the previous year or the year before that, I can't do anything about it. I mean, I was a superintendent, but it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So if we're going to look at the most I mean, they're not going to grade my schools on what we did 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They're going to grade my schools on what I did this year.
Right,
so
but our
I'm just asked to be graded on what the current practice that for the people who are doing the work right now. So that, I mean, that's all. And if it's not good enough, I guess it's just if you don't feel comfortable, then that would be a no.
Well, it's not really about it being
we look
not
forward
good
to seeing
enough,
the data.
but honestly, we've based our whole this whole time that we've been interacting since the joint plan was signed in 2018 was a baseline of like 5 years, right? 3 to 5 years. I mean, in every area. But then here we're saying, let's abandon past practices, what we've been doing from the start, and let's just say we're looking at this year, and no other year is relevant.
We want to see that.
That's fine, but we provided what was asked for. So we provided what was asked for. Now something in addition is being asked for.
And that's where I have the issue, because you're saying that, and people who are watching, they're believing that, but that's not true. The standard when we first started was 3 to 5 years. That if we go back to those first 2 meetings, we talked about data for like 2 days. We talked about before we even got started with the KPIs. We talked about multiple years. It was never just show us 1 year, right? Because everyone around the room shared their concerns. So for you to say now that we're changing it, you're putting out a false narrative that ends up getting us attacked. I have been attacked personally because of the false narratives that have been said. When all we're trying to do is honestly collaborate, right? Collaborate, build trust between the district and the community, and show how you all are doing the work. Like, we do want to show them that you're doing the work and that there is progress being made. But
what I'm saying is
false narratives,
there's no false narrative, and
that
communication was sent.
Did not change.
let's clarify. An email was sent asking for clarifying information. That information was provided. I'm not talking about 2 and 3 and 4 years ago. I'm simply going back and saying, and charging staff, provide the information that was requested. And what the information that was requested was clarifying information to what was provided. So there's no false narrative. It's a
So
simple, do you have
saying-
this? Yes, here it
you're saying
is.
you already provided these previous years to us is what you're saying, and we asked
No,
for
I'm
this
saying
one year?
we provided the information aligned to the KPI, and the information beyond the KPI is, which is part of the issue, is above and beyond what's even in the KPI. So there's no, this is the information for this particular year. It's not part of the joint plan. So the statement that I made is, if it's current for this year, well, it just goes back to, I cannot control things from 5 or 6 years ago. So the better question is, would you vote to say that we're not meeting it based on something 2 years ago, even though we know right now that we are in fact this year meeting the standard of this KPI that's not even aligned to the actual joint plan? We know
It
right
is
now that we
aligned to
are.
the
So you're
joint
saying,
plan.
I would vote no from 2 years ago. That's what you're saying. I'm gonna vote no, or I
No,
don't agree with
what
what's
you're
being
saying,
said.
what you're saying is that discipline, what you're saying is that transportation has nothing to do with discipline that happens during transportation. If you're saying that discipline has nothing to do with transportation and the discipline happens during transportation, so now you're saying that discipline while a student is riding the bus and how they're treated is not a part of the joint plan. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correctly.
What I'm saying that?
Yes, I'm
So
saying
how
that
a
the
student is
transportation,
treated
the
while
school
they're
district
on
will
the
continue
bus.
to operate under the requirements of the 67 order, which no student shall be segregated or discriminated against on account of race or color or service activity program, including transportation.
Right.
And there were two, it is not part of this particular KPI, is what I'm saying. The KPI itself asks for the information. We provide the information in its most current year, the only year in which we have control over, it's the only year that we have control over. So I'm not saying, and trust me, I'll put my data up against anybody in the state, anybody in the nation. We are doing better than, let's talk about the results that we just had. When it comes to numbers and student performance and student behavior, there's not a district doing this work better. So
That's the data
thank
that
you.
we
Yes,
want.
I want to show the data as best we can.
And
But
please
what I'm
show
saying,
us
I
that.
can't change data from 2 years ago.
Show us that. Why wouldn't you show the previous data for the sake of transparency? Like why wouldn't you?
Because it's not what was asked for. Then I'll go
That
back
was
5 years.
asked for. We did not ask for the most recent data for this year.
That's a
Read what was asked.
clarifying question that we provide. Am I wrong? What was asked for? Read the statement. What was asked for?
We were asked to provide discipline data and monitoring reports.
Right, and that did not say for 1 year. The standard of practice since
It did
we
not
got
say
back
previous.
together in June of 2023 was that it would have a baseline of at least 3 years. That's what I am saying. So because you decided to provide 1 year, now you're saying that's not what was asked for when we had standard practice. If you go back and look at every email that was sent to us from Dr. Shafty, it is 3 to 5 years. It is 3 to 5 years. Now, what is harmful is the painting us as unreasonable and asking for stuff that was not, that's baiting and switching at the last minute and making it sound like we're making things difficult and we're adding different areas that's not in the joint plan, Dr. Moore, is exactly what folks have been attacking me on because, and it's unfortunate because now you've joined with them in saying this stuff, which, I'm taken aback because I thought that we were in a positive place and working collaboratively. I mean, we've been doing this for a while. We have had positive progress. And I was going to suggest today that we go indicator by indicator so that the community could see the good work that the district is doing. And we can say, yes, this has been met. Yes, this has been met, and kind of had you all walk them through what you've been doing for the sake of transparency and to show that there's progress in the district and that we're not enemies. Like, the narrative needs to change, and it starts with us.
Can I say,
Narrative changing starts with us.
I'm just gonna say, can we maybe move off of discipline, go back to the first KPI? Because this all started with the discipline talk, because Kevin asked a question about the numbers on the discipline part. That's why we jumped to the end.
Yes, it was on 8.
Go back to
Well,
back to-
yeah, because that was the, I'm sorry, Mr. Barrenborg, that was the question that was at the top of my mind when Dr. Shafi went through and said, okay, we've given this, and then I remember when I went through the 814 and from last time, that there was only 1 year and nothing to compare from year to year, and then there were additional questions which you
Kevin, Sean has made the point, Kevin, if you're.
Okay.
So did you want to go back? Because at the end of the day, I did ask in good faith or in the spirit of collegiality, if we didn't have to pull the last 2 years because A, I have no control over it, and B, it demonstrates it. But can we pull it? Absolutely. Dr. Shabby, just put that on your list. All right, you want to go back to 1 as Ms. Barrenborg recommended, or for that? I mean, that might be an easier way of doing it.
Yeah, because this all starts with that. Thank you, talk started becoming.
All right, so
We had a question about that data.
Is it 8? Which one is this? 8? Right, read indicator 8.1.
But Dr. Moore, I
Yes,
would
sir.
like to interject moving forward. We were under the premise that we were going to do rolling trends, which were 3 to 5 in all aspects of our conversations, our KPIs, our negotiations. That was a standard conversation going as far back as the equity committees moving into the work group. So it don't want us to get our audience confused that this was not relevant. And as a business person, rolling trends are common. And you don't do business without establishing rolling trends. And it's normally 3 to 5 years. So just to put that on the table and put it in context, that was the premise of what Mashawn was saying. This is how we started. And now to deviate kind of is problematic. Just wanted that on the table.
All right, hold on. And, well, I've said it. I was just asking, hey, if this is abundantly clear. I think in everything, you do have 3 years that we initially provided. So indicator 8.1, you want to start there? You want to read what 8.1 is and then see if they have any questions?
Sure. We will shift to 8.1 and go in order as recommended. 8.1 is the district shall record and maintain the following data for each method of transportation provided by the district: bus depots, bus stops, and door-to-door transportation, broke down by subgroups. The number of students accessing bus transportation by school, the distance traveled from students' home to assigned pickup location, duration of time and transport from pickup location to school, and duration of time from pickup to start of school. The exhibits provided in the original share file and then, or in the office share folder, and then the share file include dating back to 2019, 2020.
All right, we got it.
Years thereafter, Survey 3 transportation counts as unique documents. Upon request, we also provided transport duration data. And then most recently, because of survey, this year's 24-25 Survey 3 finalization, we provided this most recent Survey 3 transportation counts.
All right,
The transportation duration data, that wasn't broken down by race, was it?
I don't know how we would do that, Rashawn, because it's the duration of the time on the bus, right? So.
Can you pull it up? I think we talked to Miss Eilert about it. Could you pull up the duration data for us?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
it's, unless you, oh, let's just put it up there. We don't have young eyes like you, girl. We gotta. So it is broken down by race.
This is the one that we received in the first round, I believe. On my notes, we had discussed whether there was a document that showed the average time as opposed to the mileage. Was that something that you have accessible, or was that one of the documents that you're not able to provide?
No, Ms. Idolet, does not have that. That's miles, right?
But mileage, increased mileage would be increased time, correct?
Unless you live in Miami. And the only thing I'll say is it may be skewed in some places if you're a choice. No, that's not true. I take that back.
Count of riders is the second tab. Where the
Yeah.
count of students with transportation data feeding into the average distance by school by race.
So again, I looked at the black column versus the white, right? Because that's what we're comparing, black students and white students. We're not comparing Hispanic students. And so I looked at those numbers in that column and I compared them to the numbers in the white column.
It should be basic. I mean, regardless.
You don't have control over ridership for charter schools.
Right,
Right, and the charter schools are gonna be a little higher. And that's 2.1 from the school? I mean, if I look at this data, I'm like, I mean. 1.9, 2.1, should be 1 point anything.
Miles, 10 miles from Hydroprep, 10 miles from Liberty Magnet. Osceola.
When we, just a point of clarification, when we spoke last time, and I think one of the barriers to achievement is that the funding that the district receives for transportation relates to transportation that's required outside the 2 mile radius, with the exception of certain exceptions and certain other conditions. Some of these show less than 2 miles. So how do we reconcile that with the funding limitation?
So I would go back and look, like at Oslo Middle School, you see a 1.9, what is column F?
Can you go up to the top?
That's probably one student who lives, who has a hardship, based on the unsafe, no walkways.
There's also another one that you have to consider, and that is where bus stops are. We had to work around, and I know when I was assistant principal, I had to do this. I had to work around sexual offenders. So sometimes you have to, that would skew your data too.
Osceola, 4 miles.
Yeah, and it's just on the one-offs, like
Miles.
American Indian, I don't know how many. That could represent one student, which means it's probably, I mean.
Or 2 in one.
Oh,
Well, like for Fellsmere Elementary, there's 1.7 under white. And then
So that-
also for black, it's 1.3. I just wanted to see if those, and that's the average, right? So does that mean that transportation is being provided for students within the 2 mile radius?
When they have that hardship, so Fellsmere doesn't have sidewalks, so there's a lot of students that have that transportation within the 2 miles because they can't safely walk to school. So yes, at Fellsmere, that in fact is the case. You'll see a lot within the 2 miles because there's no, everything's like either on a dirt road, or kids would have to walk on the street. Ms. Idelet says that's not cool. We're gonna provide you transportation.
That's why it's across the board for those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Quick question. This says, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm looking at Osceola and it's like black students 4.4 miles. So that would, and then Rosewood 4.2 miles. So I'm assuming that there are no students from Gifford coming to Osceola, which would be a long route, but that wouldn't, because it has to be more than 4 miles.
Some are coming from real close.
We couldn't. But I was to question.
Yeah, we have to go student by student because that is an average, and obviously in a school that doesn't have a boundary or a zone, you're gonna see larger, miles averages because they're more spread out. And if anything, that just is the fact that we're providing that level of transportation for a magnet school, for all kids is pretty generous.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I appreciate that, that they're, I'm just wondering, and we talked about the choices, they get choice 1, 2, 3 for the magnets, correct?
You get choice 1, 2, 3 for all schools.
Oh, for all schools, okay. All
You're a
right.
choice district.
So they probably, if a student from Gifford probably wanted to go to Osceola, they would probably have gotten their third choice, which would have been maybe Liberty Magnet or something like that, or whoever was closer to them.
It wouldn't be on distance, it would be on available seats and the parameters of the lottery for school board policy. So a sibling, a military preference, there are levels, it's based on available seats.
Okay, and I think I had asked that question before because when I remember that there were some, used to be, it's a much better job with the magnet schools now, but it used to be they were kept at like 4% of black students. And so I think the percentages are a little bit better, but choices, we don't know how many come from that area.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna tackle that when we get to student assignments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's my question for now.
So as it relates to indicator 8.1, there's other exhibits. Is there other exhibits you wanted us to go over or just kind of speak through? I know we're just looking at one specifically, but as you guys review the documents, is there anything else you want us to kind of have a little dialogue around?
And most of the information was from the surveys, right? Survey 1, 2, and 3. Survey 3 is the third quarter or something. How does that go?
Survey 3 is typically a February reporting period, which historically is most accurate for ridership. So we gave fixed reporting periods so we could see ridership by location across the board. So even though everything is in that survey file that we report to the state, it's actually the exact file.
Okay, yeah. It's one of those, I think, for my team that may not know, and I think you guys know, we have to report to the state the hiring, numbers on hiring and ridership to get funding back. So that survey 3 is the ridership, transportation ridership, and those period students are encouraged to get on the bus. Or hopefully not be absent that day. Okay, so that's survey 3. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a question, following the implementation of the depot spots, or depot stops, did you see, or have you seen, to the extent that you can answer this, that, the time in transportation has decreased, or is it about the same? I know ridership is up significantly, but is,
So I'm gonna make an assumption, Jody, that it probably ticked up a little bit because what's happening is parents are gonna drive to the bus stop that's closest to their house and by default furthest away from the school. So it probably, did we give a 3-year trend on this, or don't get me yelled at again? Don't, no.
we have since 2019, but I believe that that's when it was the.
Yeah, so
policy was changed.
that's interesting to look at. I would assume
I bet that's it.
it probably went up a little tick here or there. And then the offset to that is last year, a value everybody was getting, if you just asked, you would receive the inside of the 2 mile, which was causing us to bleed money left and right. So we went on a case by case basis. So based on that, that went up as well. The volume of children that were inside the 2 miles, because we were so amenable to getting, hey, I want transportation. They call it courtesy stops, which was, there was no courtesy money for these courtesy stops. So I had Jen go back decision by decision and follow what's in statute. So that also probably ticked it up a little bit.
Did that decrease the amount that you're spending on transportation per student when that changed? I would imagine.
Yeah, well, so yes, it did, but it also allowed us to reduce routes. And because we're having less stops, we can reduce the amount of time in between, have less. We had 84 bus routes when I got here. We're down to 76 now, transporting the same number of kids. And that's just efficiency, Miss Idolette, working through and creating schedules that get kids on time. So always trying to save the people's money.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none.
Did we vote on this now?
So
or-
we had circulated, prior to the meeting, we circulated a form, for your consideration for voting. Our suggestion was that each member would get their own form. And as we go through the various KPIs, at the conclusion of each one, write what their vote is, and then at the end, submit it. For account, that was our proposal, but, subject, the group can obviously discuss.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't know what you envision, Jody. It becomes a record, so we'd have to keep it. Right? Or my attorneys, it becomes a public record, so I could just put a little X in the box and we can go to number 2, an X in the KPI satisfied box.
For yourself, but I mean, it would be, so I think each individual member would have their own voting form.
Yeah,
And then they could submit them at the end.
okay, that's fine.
We can
So-
nominate someone to, tally the votes. Matt, I know you want to volunteer.
Yeah, I didn't understand that from your email, Jody. I just got the form and I thought that was just for ease of moving through. I didn't realize it was going to be, akin to a secret.
Just a
And
suggestion.
if it gets us closer to a vote, I'm in favor. So we can fill it out as we move along. I'm sorry, Jody, you're talking.
No, I was just gonna say, just a voting form, just a suggestion on how to approach this, open to whatever you all think is best.
Yeah, so Matt, Jody, if someone requests a public, I don't know how.
If we were in,
I put my name on mine and I can vote. And then you have it.
Yeah, but it's logistical and it's not, you can't get over, but if they're, I want Marshawn Green's tally sheet, but she may not even have, I don't even know where she's at.
If it's her personal notes, it's not under sunshine, but if we all vote and go roll call, they can ask for the roll call vote.
Yeah, and I think if we're all writing on these and they're being scanned and forwarded to me or to Jody, then they would necessarily be, formalizing, communicating information. So off the cuff, it would seem to me that we'd have to maintain those for a period of time.
So would it be easier, if I don't mind using the form, to move through each of the KPIs and then when we're done, fill it out and send it in, or just, whatever. Yeah, I like that too, but
I prefer a roll call as we go each KPI. Is that possible for everybody? And it's recorded. I don't hear anybody else.
Yeah, is there an
answering that.
objection to that?
Team, Rashawn, Kevin, Tony?
I'm thinking roll call might be, as long as we're hitting each KPI, roll call would be fine, and we are, this is a recorded meeting, right? So,
But what if I'm not ready to vote on it until I go back to like my information or my notes from the past meeting when it was presented?
mhm.
So do I just say I abstain at the moment?
no, I think, in the spirit of collegiality, we should, if it's like, hey, I just want to see this, if we're not there, we're not there.
Why don't we look and see how the vote goes, Marshawn? I
Request
know-
to defer maybe, yeah, based on need to review something or,
Okay.
We're not gonna vote on, obviously, we're not gonna vote on whatever 14 is because 14. So that would be an example. I'm not there yet. Send me
Okay.
here's 1 and 2. But if we're not, if in 8.1, if we're in a place, then yeah, okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or roll call Matt, but whatever you
Okay.
want to do.
And I think also, say for like with the survey 3 data, we have at least 3 years of survey 3 data, correct? And just the intricacies of that, if there's any questions on that, that would be different. But with the other 8.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, do you know if they were? Are we sure they were the 3 years?
That for survey data, we have from 2019, 2020 in there.
If we get past 8.2, we got plenty of time to get you 8.4.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right, Matt, roll call is out. Okay, well, what is, Denise is here, okay.
All right. So we're ready to roll call for 8.1?
Have we talked about each document just for the community? Listen, y'all, after last meeting, I got my head beat in. So I just want to just
That's
say on the record, Dr. Shafty, like what documents were provided, and why you feel the district has met this, kind of so that those watching can know, and then, yeah, we could do roll call.
Sure.
Oh, you want to get your own? Okay.
So 8.1, the indicator is the district shall record and maintain the following data for each method of transportation provided by the districts: bus depots, bus stops, and door-to-door transportation broken down by subgroup and the number of students accessing bus transportation by school. What was provided for this would be 7 exhibits. The bulk of them being survey 3 transportation counts, which are spreadsheets by location. Beginning, we have 2019, 2020, 2020, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24. Most recently, we provided the transport duration data, which we've shared on the screen, and then 24, 25 transportation counts. The important piece that we feel is that the creation of depot stops, after the 1920 year, really changed the way that we operate and provide access to transportation. It is important to note that charter schools are responsible for arranging transportation. So as information was shared line by line, we do have 5 charter schools that operate outside of the scope of this school board. Imagines, as of December 2021, Imagine Schools and Indian River Charter High School do not provide transportation to their students. And depot spots for stops allow families to take their child to the closest bus stop, as opposed to the previous process where parents would have to arrange transportation from the home location to their school of choice.
Okay, thank you. So I have one question before we do our vote. On the number 1 under the 8.1, I think it was one of the measurements. In it, the 4th prong, it says duration of time from student pickup to start of school. And so we didn't have that. How would we handle that? Because I think that was that one part of the data that Ms. Eilert said that we didn't have.
Yeah, we had that conversation as a team, and that is a piece that after checking with Ms. Idolette.
Actually, it's part of the KPI. Actually, I thought it was a measurement, but it's part of the KPI.
Correct. After checking with Ms. Idolette, we do not have the ability to measure time. We measure time by average distance.
I think, but it can be done by route, right? Yeah, because the route sheets have. Denise, you're on here, yeah. Can it be done by route, Denise? Because I think the route sheet has the time.
Yeah, it should be able to be done by route because students are not supposed to be on a bus only at a certain amount of time. So yes, by the route sheets,
Yeah. how do you
we
do
should
that?
be able to have that information.
But I do know buses run early, buses run late, every day. So are you talking about the scheduled time?
Yeah.
The regular scheduled time, not when a bus,
Scheduled time of route.
the scheduled time of the route sheet that each driver is given.
Route
I'm
sheets.
using the route sheets. We could divide
So
them.
I do know there are circumstances when, of course, I know short on drivers call in, or sometimes when routes have to be split up, but not in that situation, but a regular route sheet, the time is stated on that route.
So are you asking for like when the first child's picked up to when they are dropped off at the school? Is that what you want?
The KPI, just to read it, it says duration of time from student pickup to start of school.
Right, but the students are picked up at different bus stops. That's what I'm asking. Do you want it from the very first child that's picked up?
I mean, all we can provide, I would imagine, is kind of what Denise is saying is this is the scheduled stop times for each particular school. Each particular school's run time is 20 minutes. So what it will be would be, with the exception of very few routes, which like the one that goes all the way out to Okeechobee
Yeah.
is obviously a little bit longer. That feeds into Dodgertown. So other than that, most routes are completed within 20 minutes because that's the time they have in between to get kids in for breakfast. But and I can't imagine that doesn't exist.
Oh, it does, because I've seen those. Like when you're a principal of a school, they give you your route times for all the buses.
Well, you get the route, the bus driver gets it.
Right, they get their route times.
All right.
So they do exist. But
Man, I was so excited. We was about to have a vote.
I know. I do know like the one that goes way out west. We do pick up kids like in Yeehaw, and those aren't even like, do we still pick up kids from the next county over?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's gonna skew your data a little bit, just so you know, that we've got kids that live way out by Yeehaw.
What
For
school do
right.
What school do they typically go to?
Dodgertown, because I taught them and I had kids. I actually had a kid take a child home one time because there was a accident out there and they couldn't get the bus to her house. So I took her to her home and she stayed at home with my kids because she was friends with my daughter. So those kids ride on the bus for a good,
Yeah, Dodge, it's
45
Dodgertown, Gifford, Vero.
yeah.
And that's the,
Dodger-
that's.
Dodgertown, Storm Grove, and Gifford Middle. You have students that, from Storm Grove that ride the bus from Yeehaw Junction as well.
I can share my screen. I was trying to look back, and part of the additional request, we provided run IDs and route times by tier, if you guys would like to see it.
Heck, yeah, they want to.
Yes, please.
You provide it for 3 years, or are you gonna get me yelled at again?
It's tough. That's what I'll work on that. So this is how it's provided. I'll talk you through it because there are multiple tabs. But we have the high school AM tab at the bottom, high school PM, middle AM, middle PM, elementary AM, PM. And then this is curb to curb, which will be our students that have the identified need to be transported because of their ESE designation. But these are how Miss Idolette captures her run ID, the days of the week, the start time and the end time.
All right, let's just digest this
So the
for a
run
second.
time is basically what she's asking for, right?
Yeah.
The run time.
And this is high school. It depends on the tab everybody wants to look at. It's pulled by
What is the
So you're-
number, what is the number on the bottom? The average?
average.
Which is what it's asking for. Right?
Okay, the runtime, look at you, so we're working on this together. The very, 3:30, yeah. The math is wrong. Right? It's 41 minutes, it's not 51 minutes. Oh, no, never mind, no, my math is wrong.
51, yep.
Please turn off the camera and rewind that, please.
Did you have to teach math or you didn't teach math?
No, I did not. I do have 4 degrees though.
Not math though.
No,
So let's look at high school AM. Here are all the routes for high school AM, run time, start time, end time, which will be our first tier of transportation.
I said it again, this is high school?
High school AM.
That's reached 5:53, that is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. So can you go down and see the average time?
Sure.
Because I think that's the best thing to look at. So 38 minutes on the bus, 39 minutes on the bus is the average for high school.
So again, this is a route, correct? But a depot stop
Would
means
be
that some of the
embedded-
students on this route are gonna have less time and some are gonna have more, right?
Right, if you're the last stop to the house, to the school, it may be 4 miles, but if you're the one who lives in Padoki, wherever that, the furthest away, you got all 33 minutes or whatever the biggest time is. And it just depends on where you live.
Do we know, like, which route is the Gifford route? Because I can't see anything that's broken down by race.
I would have,
And this is-
no, but they all run all 3 buses and they have route numbers, but we use bus numbers, so the numbers are different.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Say
The art
that. Say that again. You said,
It was my teacher.
Same thing, man.
They were long,
Yeah.
4 numbers on a bus, but it gave you a route number.
Every day afternoon announcement, bus 4257 is riding
Yeah.
bus 3740.
So
Oh,
30,
but you don't do route numbers anymore? Route 67, route 43.
No, that's the same way they do it. They still do it that way. But the route, we use a 2-digit route number, which they call a bus number versus, I don't know why we don't do it that way, but there's probably a good reason. Other than that's the way that it's always been.
Okay. Okay, because so
They
then with
use-
this one. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was gonna say the reason of route numbers is because buses break down. So if you just have the route number, it's less confusing.
We had buses that flipped the numbers,
Yeah.
so it was really easy. It's just change the number. The bus, do we still have that on the buses or?
Yeah. Keep going.
So we
Keep
just,
sharing, go through each one because that is the information that.
yeah, that's the number.
Then we have high school PM,
So it takes a lot longer to get home in the afternoon because of traffic? Okay.
middle school AM is at 36.5. Middle school PM is at 44.72. Elementary AM is at 43.09. And elementary PM is at 49.95.
Perfect. So the middle school kids are on the bus less time than the others. Is that because of the ridership is less in middle school?
I don't know.
I just noticed that. They stay after school for lots of programs, but so do high school kids. But then again, high school kids that are staying after school don't ride the bus usually. They drive both ways. That might be the reason why middle school is so much less.
These are our curb to curb, which will be a lot longer because they are, sorry.
Lockers too.
they are
Exceptions. And neighborhood schools.
curb to curb averages will be higher just because we accommodate all of them.
Oslo has high walking
Yep.
group.
Very accurate. I think that allows.
So these times are, this is correct, 5:23 start time on this route,
Yeah.
23 AM.
Yep.
They asked about the high school start time this morning.
Yes, we,
There's a law that just got signed that we have to deal with, but we can't talk about that here.
mine, they open at 7:20, not much different.
And Dr. Shafter, this middle school, right?
This is what's on the screen right here is curb to curb, which will be our ESE students. So we would expect this is actually from their door to the school. So the ridership minutes will be significantly longer.
I'm just looking at the start times, they're ridiculous.
They are very early.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But even, I mean, it's good to have.
What's the afternoon for curb to curb?
Middle school.
No, you need to click down at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's actually less time for them in the afternoon than it is in the morning. Everybody else is longer. Why would that be? Is it like for the parent to be home?
Belts, they have to be in, fastening in, but I mean, the time, I mean,
Earlier, you maybe don't get caught up on.
yeah.
Oh, that's maybe one. They leave earlier. Okay. Interesting when you look at that.
Big time.
Professional. All right, so Matt, call it up. I think that's the data we needed to provide, right? So I don't want to rush things, but I'm very excited here.
All right, for KPI 8.1 under section 8. And I just wrote these names down somewhat at random, but if everyone's all right, this is the order we'll go in. For 8.1, Ms. Green,
Why'd you have to put me first?
I swear it was random.
Whoa,
I'm looking like, well, you know, I'm torn, right? Because I've seen the majority of it, but that part, the durational part, was supposed to be broken down based off the subgroup. So I don't know, like, if I should abstain and wait on the subgroup information or
How do you get, how do you
vote.
get?
I don't-
buses? How can you get a subgroup timed? I don't know how you can do that. No.
But that, I think that's why Kevin was asking about if it's going to Gifford, you know, because then it probably would be predominantly black on there. You'll have the times based off that. But I guess I'll vote yes despite not having that. I kind of want to see that data though, but I vote yes.
All right.
Well,
Well, you got the
No,
EHA kids,
which-
so that's excused it.
which route service
Yeah.
which schools would
Yeah.
address that curiosity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Shafty,
Yes,
all right, Mr. Brown,
I do yes with an asterisk because of the data.
Dr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Browning,
I would like to say yes, but I want to see the, can we at some point send that by route data? So
Yeah,
know how far
that's a
Gifford is
simple
on that?
add. So
Okay,
we can add, thinking aloud, but route whatever services Pelican Island, Sebastian River, Sebastian Senior, and that way you would know. Oh, it's broken down by, yeah, we can add the
Yes.
school.
Because also
Yes.
Beachland, right? Because you have the kids from Beachland that's doing choice, just seeing their duration time as
Yes.
opposed to the other.
And Gifford has services the beach, so that would be longer time for those kids too.
just to make sure we're giving you what you want, it's that same column, but we, next to that run ID, we'll add the location in which that run is going to.
yes, so if it's Route 38, it's coming out of Gifford or whatever. Okay. I'm
But
gonna
you're
lose
gonna
connectivity
need the
for a
other
minute.
data to be able to compare, right? Or would you just compare with the other routes that are
Yeah.
already there, just compare them? Okay.
Yeah, you need the data for all of them to see, okay, Gifford students coming out of Gifford, staying on longer, or is it the same?
Kevin, you sound horrible, bro. Just horrible.
I apologize. I'm gonna
Pick
lose
it up,
connectivity
Matt.
and rejoin.
all right, Ms. Smith,
I say yes, and as well as the data as well, but yes.
Chair Barrenborg,
I'll say yes.
and Vice Principal Hart,
Yes. Here's the superintendent board. Didn't they say board chair?
Yes.
Leave the room.
Is he telling us something?
One KPI down, 300. I'll take it. 8.2.
Oh, that's me.
If we. Because it's
8.2. The KPI is the district shall offer daily busing to all eligible African-American students to and from their enrolled school. And what we provided for that one, sorry, scrolling, would be the same survey exhibits because it shows location by location, which students are accessing zoned bus stops as well as choice bus stops. And the rationale behind that is in order to even be accounted for on that survey reporting sheet, they would have confirmed membership during the survey week, be transported at least once in that 5-day survey week or once during the preceding 6 scheduled school days, and meet the eligibility criteria in statute. And this is where we felt it was important that the FLDOE website contains technical assistance notes for safety inspection that we linked in the document that Ms. Idelette really guides some of her work from. and that the district does not receive funding for secondary students, which would be your grades 6 through 12, living within 2 miles of the school.
I would note that I think we just lost Mr. Browning.
No.
Call the vote.
Can you repeat the last part about what you said about receive funding?
Sure. The district does not receive funding for secondary students in grades 6 through 12, living within 2 miles of the school.
And so does the district provide transportation for them or no?
It would have to be through an exception.
Okay. And that exception is what Dr. Moore was saying, the hardship?
Yeah, no roads, no sidewalks. A good example, which anyone who lives here can relate to, construction. Having to cross US 1, there's a lot of kids who live on the other side of US 1 that go to Gifford. And even though it's within 2 miles, we don't feel comfortable with that.
Or the trains.
But
Or the
then-
high
yeah,
school
yeah, yeah.
trains.
In Brightline.
Dr. Shafter, you said, I believe you said that the district does not receive funding for secondary students living within 2 miles. What about primary students?
Primary,
I think we do.
yes, in primary you do, once you get the exception. In secondary schools, you do not.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? I didn't follow.
Yes, the statute provides the flexibility in K6, I think it's actually K6, old school elementaries, to provide that ability to do transportation within the 2 miles. And once we document, we do get funded for those students.
But the ones within the 2 miles, they have to have an exception.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same as the secondary.
It's the same, except we receive funding for the exception in K6, where we would have to fund it internally 712.
In other words, they still do it, but you don't get the funding for it. Unfunded.
We do it very limited too, very limited.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is that a norm?
No, just the one I think of that hits my memory, and I think Jen referenced it, is the kids crossing US 1 and the train tracks to get to Gifford. There may be some exceptions. No, there's not. I was gonna say Sebastian Senior. Oh yeah, there is. Sebastian Senior, some of the families that live in VLE, they had those godforsaken times. There's no lights, the roads are dirt. We actually had
Sidewalks.
a student get hit by another student. So we provide transportation within VLE, even though it's within heck a mile of the school. To Sebastian Senior.
School or middle or high school.
I don't know. I've been saying that for 5 years and no one corrected me.
You're in your school's name? Where's the question?
Anyway.
Miami Southbridge Senior. I know. Well, you grow up one way and was 27 years.
Sorry, he's having a moment.
Is anyone tracking Kevin?
Looks like he's back.
Oh, yeah, he just texted me. I'm a yes for 8.2. You didn't know.
Is he on the second page? See the 1 and 2?
Oh.
He might be on the second. Here he is.
Here.
He's here.
Oh,
Ooh, sharp. He's clear now.
Why do I have a different KPI than what you read, Dr. Shafty?
I read it from the voting form, so maybe it's not the right one.
Now the district shall offer daily busing to include division.
Oh, you're right, our
Yeah.
KPI is different than the voting form, so I'm not sure who created it, but the voting form will need to be amended.
The voting form is from the agreed KPIs that are submitted within the joint status reports.
I have, the one we submitted is the district shall offer daily busing to include the use of bus depot stops for African-American students. Because we went back and we added, which we are provided transportation funding, and there was conversation around why that was added.
I don't think there was ever agreement on that, Dr. Shafi, and maybe I'm mistaken, but
Yeah.
I believe that there was discussion about that language being added and concern regarding it. But I don't think
Yep.
there was agreement to,
But even this first piece is not. So the one I read is, which one should it be? Because the one I read is from the voting form.
we pull up the voting form.
District shall offer daily busing to all eligible African American students and to. Yeah, okay, cool.
And that would include.
Yeah, I guess it sounds about the same. I just need to find my documents.
Other different. Yeah. So.
So let's see what 8.3 is. Is there, do you want to go over other data elements that are there?
Already done.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'll read it once each space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I think we're ready, Matt.
All right, which one are we doing? Are we doing 8.2?
8.2 as read on the voting form.
All right. We will go in reverse order this time, starting with Vice Principal Hart,
Yes.
Chair Barenborn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. So we are going to say, I'm going to say yes.
Mr. Browning,
Okay, read that for me one more time, please. I think I have the right one because it's off the voting form, right? Go ahead.
the district shall offer daily busing to all eligible African-American students to and from their enrolled school.
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes, yes.
Mr. Brown,
You don't. Two votes.
My mic's not working. Yes.
Dr. Shafty,
Yes.
Ms. Green.
Yes.
All right, 2 down. All right, so the next one, and I just wanna, okay, I think we're good to go to the next one, right? All right, you wanna go to the next one?
So reading from the voting form, indicator 8.3, the district shall comply with the transportation accommodations set forth in African-American students, IEPs. What was originally provided for that was policy 8600, which is our transportation policy. The link to that policy, and then after our last meeting, we provided date certain February 25th, 2025, IEP related service report for transportation, which identifies all of that curb to curb, which we saw in 8.1 at a single line level of student, anonymized student, and the accommodation for which the transportation is provided.
Can we kind of walk through that just a little, just for those watching?
Need to make sure, if it's okay, it doesn't have the student's name before I
Okay.
share it.
Okay, that's fine.
Can you hide that? Can you hide that?
I'm just sharing my screen, but let me, before I share it live stream, let me pull it up.
Is it a spreadsheet?
I honestly can't remember.
Building.
Spreadsheet, you can hide the column.
That's right. Yeah, one on the front.
Looking. Green sectionality, initiation date.
Oh, goodness, what?
There's no name. It's not 19.
All right, here it comes. Dr. Shabby said it was fine.
You are throwing her under the
No,
bus.
listen to the,
Yeah, I've never seen this.
Okay, so, a little bit to work through the columns. The left column is the school or the location, the grade level, the primary exceptionality, the date in which the request was initiated, the duration date and the frequency of the date. All of these will look similar because it is filtered for this specific KPI location, and then that the description is CTC.
And okay.
About how many students do you think in the district? Do you have like that number?
Tell you, sorry to scroll quickly. Total students are on this spreadsheet.
Okay, so yeah, so it'll be the line number. Each student gets a line.
So 575.
Okay.
That would be African American.
This is all curb to curb.
Oh, okay. Do you have it by subgroup? Probably not, huh?
Don't think so.
Well, but if you look at the KPI, it just asks whether or not they're providing that transportation.
Sorry, I have another tab. I just want to check before I share it.
So if they're all getting the transportation, then African American students would be included, correct?
yeah, well, this.
Yeah, we're just curious, just.
Yeah, I am.
I don't have it.
So.
Yeah, I don't have it. That's what both tabs are identical.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you, if somebody doesn't get it, they shout from the rooftops,
Yes, yeah.
Having been a principal, I know all my parents, if they didn't get their transportation, they had it in their IEP. It was taken care of immediately.
Yeah, my mom drove the bus with the kids who had IEPs, so yeah.
No,
Her career.
My concern is those parents who are somewhat reluctant to push the envelope.
Yeah. And then
But
you
I
said you
think-
had another, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, Tony, there is like for IEP meetings, there is like several times a year you get together as a team. And one of the things you discuss is transportation for the child, whether or not it's been provided. So it's not just the parent that is worried about it, it's the team that's worried about it. And it's documented in their IEP that they're getting that transportation.
And I'm not seeing where students who requires that having time to that.
Right.
Now I will say those team meetings are not that great because I advocated for a few of the parents out of Fellsmere, and I really had to, and that was when Dr. Moxley was there interim. I really had to like go to her a number of times just to get the parent to even have the documents translated because the parent was Spanish. They weren't providing a translator in the meeting. So, I mean, Michael Marsh still talks about ESC. So apparently Michael Marsh is saying that it's gotten better.
Yeah, we advocate for advocates, so.
For sure.
Oh, Michael Marsh is saying it's gotten better, is that what you said?
Yes. So I'll take his word for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I also was in some of the IEPs, and it wasn't a fun place to be for a lot of parents.
I understand. I remember when I was running those meetings, there was a lot of acronyms that were being thrown around, and so parents were, kind of left in the dark. And so one of the things we did at Highlands, when it was Highlands, is we put signs up all over the room of the acronyms, and so that way, when somebody was saying an acronym, we pointed to the sign what it was. So everybody was on the same page and could know exactly what the language was that we were speaking, because every industry has their acronyms, and we have a lot of them.
That's good to hear, because yeah, it was a lot of acronyms when I sat in.
The
So then there was
transportation have one.
and,
They don't
and
have a
for
name.
now, and for it now in the future, well, just a few things. Number one, Mr. Brown and I had one who was actually reluctant to kind of come forward because she felt retaliation. But when we deal with, later on, we're dealing with how many students, African American, are being assigned to ESE, right? So the only way we're going to be able to tell that and to tell this now is for the indicator in the spreadsheet, the column that identifies by race. Because we're going to get students assigned to
That section.
but if they're disproportionately assigned or disproportionately whatever. But just a thought.
Yeah, that section's.
So what you're saying, Kevin, is like having a document that shows if they are assigned to an IEP and if they ride. Is that what you're saying?
How they're getting.
Like
That's how you, sorry, that's how you would.
Not a document with with the spreadsheet. With the spreadsheet you have there, I can't see the spreadsheet now, but it would have, just that column, because normally you have the school, you have this grade level, you have the was on, but you also would have the student. So just something to think about.
It does have the primary optionality.
What'd you say, Dr. Shafty?
The spreadsheet does have, if they're getting curb to curb, it's because they have a primary exceptionality identified through our identification process, and the spreadsheet has the exceptionality listed by row. Like the first three are intellectual disability, autism spectrum disorder, developmental delay. Developmental delay would be our pre-K, first grade kids.
Yeah, I think he's asking for something else. So and maybe I'm hearing wrong, but I think that he's asking basically okay, is there a document showing all the students that kind of are assigned to IEPs, or having that number and then being able to compare that number to who's using transportation? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Or by race, somewhere in that spreadsheet identifies, because what you showed us, Dr. Shaft, it didn't identify race, right?
No, it didn't.
But I also think on that document, right, they're all getting transportation on that document, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what the race they are, it's 100% for every race. Does that make sense?
But it's not definitive. If we're looking at it through the prism of the DSEG order, and as Kevin said, somewhere later, we're going to go into exceptional ESE, we would be able to define what portion of those students are ESE but are of color.
And that would be section
That's
6.
another section.
That's 6.
But the KPI does say accommodations set forth in African American students with IEPs. So I guess then it's how do you tell which are the African American students with IEPs from that?
With an accommodation related to transportation.
And this is every kid who has an IEP, who has an accommodation, which captures everybody.
Yeah, but if we were to do the same thing with like, with the scores, right? We could say, well, all these kids got, the average is this average, and this is all the second graders that took the test, including African Americans.
Right,
Which is
but
why we did the subgroups in order to be able to look.
I understand, but in this particular data set, it's 100% for everybody. So it's 100% for every group. Right, who gets those services for that data set? In other words, all the kids that have IEPs that get curb to curb, all the data's there, which means that's 100%.
But it's any
So-
for transportation. Yeah.
And if they don't get curb to curb, it's because the parent opted not to do
That
it.
other breakdown.
On the IEP, it was
That would be an IEP.
So I feel like it would have been more supportive, right, if we had a document that broke down everyone in the district that has IEPs based off race, the number count, and then showed of that number count, 50% of them have transportation associated accommodations, and then we had that document. Because then we could say, okay, of the total count, it says 545, and here is 545. So we know that even though it's not broken down by races, it's everyone who has the. Or maybe I'm getting
percentage.
the driving force is the exceptionality.
Right,
So the
That's really
exceptionality drives the additional transportation requirement, whether it's, so the
speech language doesn't require,
gatekeeper
Right.
is the exceptionality.
yeah,
And so I don't know that we,
that'd be very hard to do, I think.
And if I could just interject one thing, and it's a legal issue, I promise. My concern is always Florida and federal law regarding privacy, and my
Yeah.
concern about creating a spreadsheet, even if it doesn't have students' names, but that further provides identification, whether it be the student's race or something else. We're getting close to creating a situation where we're identifying kids. For example, if there's one Black or African-American kid in kindergarten at a specific school that has a specific exceptionality, and we put that information in a spreadsheet, I don't want to create a situation where we then somehow identify the kid as having an IEP. And that's the problem I see just in further breaking this down.
Wait, you're
I
saying
think-
by grade. I'm just talking about count. So if you got Beachland Elementary School that has 30 kids, right? So you put the count 30 already
So-
on there.
I
So then
see. So
we
you're
could go-
saying there's 30 African-American or Black kids at Beachland that have IEPs that require transportation?
30 kids, period, that have IEPs, and of that, maybe 10%. You might say 10% of them require
Okay.
transportation accommodation. That's it. It's just to be able to say, like, this is a number here to compare the number to those who have like because we've already seen that it's 500 or 600 and something. Yeah.
Well, I got confused because that's a little bit outside of the KPI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anything else is just a.
And the other thing
Yeah,
I'd
okay,
throw out there,
that's fixable.
the other thing I'd throw out there is we did have on the agenda 10 minutes to select our June meeting date and time. And we are currently 3 minutes from our scheduled
Progress.
ending time.
Oh, yeah, okay, is there anything that we can, based on that conversation, that we can provide for clarity? Or is it just, I don't,
Just have 2 more years of transportation discipline.
no, for this, the conversation that we're having now, the total percent of kids. I think this, let me,
What that doesn't look like.
Dr. Moore, are you calling for a vote?
I don't think we have the information that that would
She's
allow.
asking for it.
I was just questioning.
No, I don't think we.
No, I was being facetious.
I know. I don't know that we can provide more information, but I don't know for sure that we can or we cannot. So if we could just pause right here, and if we can, we can. I think,
We can pick this up at the next meeting.
yeah, and I think the bigger conversation is that we're on the outskirts of having is in section 6.
Yeah.
Which the meat of that is in section 6. But I think whatever Rashawn's saying, of all the students, which percent require transportation? So,
Yeah.
and break it down, and I think we should be able to break that down by race and say, of the, and I don't know, Matt, you'd have to bless it, but there's 500, 800 kids who are Black, 500, 200 have transportation, 600. It'd be interesting, and I don't think it's hard to believe. But I mean, obviously.
Yeah, so I just want to be clear. Like, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just saying, like, we got the sheet of all the kids, right? And then if we could just compare it to, like, okay, this is your master sheet of all the kids, and it reflects that of your 1,500 kids, only 647 get travel accommodations. We can then say, okay, and it's 647 here. So, yeah.
I got you.
And there's no identifying information.
But the ones that need travel are getting it.
Yes,
And-
yeah,
And
exactly.
then the ones that don't
I-
get
yeah.
it, is it that the parent chose not to?
No, it's not in the IEP.
Decided not to.
Okay, okay.
Or the disability.
Right, and
Right.
if we have about 2,600 ESD kids, which is roughly about what it is, and 500 have transportation, that seems just. All right, we'll get that. So on to scheduling the next meeting, which, yeah, let me go get both my schedules.
I never bring my phone to the dais, but I brought it to this because I figured that's what we're gonna be doing.
Online still the 17.
Yours is the
Your
second.
last day.
Are you saying this is how you want to spend your last day?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We have a school board meeting on the 16th. So 17th is fine with me.
Same time frame. 4:30 to 6:30? Yep, okay.
It has to be in June. Oh, God bless.
And you should start with days you're available.
June 30. All right, not that I want to share over my calendar, we're not sharing the screen, are we?
No.
Share the screen. I want to see his calendar.
So June 4th and 5th, I am with the.
You're not available.
I'm
How
not,
about the 17th? That's when he said he's available.
wait a
I'm
minute.
available anytime in morning.
Oh, okay.
AP 17.
17th is good for me. Oh,
17th is wide open.
what's that discussion at the
We
bottom?
can shift that.
Oh, you can? Okay.
That's on my calendar sheet.
So we have a board meeting the day before.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, I can join online. So we
What
the
is the,
17th. June 11th
I'm gonna be. in
is
conference.
FSBA.
okay.
You said the 26th was FSBA?
Yeah, we have a conference.
And that's future focused. June 26th?
Is the 17th not,
No, 17th can.
is the 17th working for you guys?
Yep.
I think it works for everybody here.
Write that down. And there might be a slight chance that I have to do it online, but I could definitely be there.
4:30.
But does it work for everybody else in the work group? Yeah. Tony, does that work for you guys? June 17th?
Sorry, we're just checking calendars.
Yeah, that's Juneteenth.
It's through Teams, you said?
June 17th.
Okay.
It's 9.
19th will close.
just before.
Why don't you text me back? I didn't make it to
Oh,
that.
I'm good with the 17th. What about you, Tony?
I'm good.
Kevin?
I'm good.
Denise? Okay.
Yes, I'm good.
4:30 virtually?
Brown and gave the thumbs up.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Easy peasy, Japanesey.
Matt, can you adjourn us?
Doc, don't give up your day job.
Yes,
I know, I
please.
know. I can't do math and I can't sing.
All right, it's 6:33. We're adjourned. See y'all.